Queen Sirith sat on her throne made of black crystal and watched the stars through the great window of her palace. She had ruled the Volanthi Dominion for 11,000 years. Her body was old, but her mind was sharp. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had watched species grow strong and then die. Most of them had died because she had ordered it. The Volanthi were the masters of this part of the galaxy. They had conquered 400 worlds. They had taken the resources of 1,000 moons. Every species they met had two choices. They could join the Dominion and serve the Queen, or they could fight and be destroyed. In 11,000 years, no species had chosen to fight and survived. Today, her advisors brought news of a new species. "They call themselves humans," said Kethver, her most trusted general. He was tall even for a Volanthi, with 4 arms and skin like polished metal. "They come from a small blue planet called Earth. They've only had space travel for 200 of their years." Sirith made a sound like dry leaves rubbing together. It was how Volanthi laughed. 200 years. We have ruled for 11,000. What threat could they possibly be? No threat at all, my queen, Kethver agreed. They are primitive. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are weak. I recommend we send an arbiter to deliver the standard offer. The standard offer was simple. Join the Dominion peacefully, or be destroyed. Every species in their territory had received this offer. Most accepted immediately. The ones who refused became examples for others. Sirith waved one of her 4 hands lazily. Send the arbiter. Let us see what these humans do. The arbiter was a diplomatic ship, but it carried enough weapons to destroy a small planet. This was intentional. The Volanthi believed that diplomacy worked best when backed by overwhelming force. The ship jumped through hyperspace and arrived at the edge of the human solar system within a day. Captain Kethver himself commanded the mission. He wanted to see these new creatures with his own eyes. His crew scanned the human homeworld and found it strange. The planet was divided into many different nations. They fought wars against each other. They polluted their own air and water. They had weapons pointed at their own cities. They are insane, one of his officers said. They harm themselves. They are primitive, Kethver corrected. They have not yet learned to work together. The Dominion will teach them, or we will end them. He sent the standard message to Earth. He explained who the Volanthi were. He described the size of their empire. He listed the species they had conquered and the species they had destroyed. Then he gave them 72 hours to send representatives to discuss their integration into the Dominion. The humans responded in less than 1 hour. They were sending a single representative. She would arrive in a small shuttle. She was not bringing any guards or any tribute or any diplomats. Just herself. Kethver found this amusing. Other species had sent hundreds of their best people. They had brought gifts of gold and rare metals and precious technology. They had come trembling with fear, begging for mercy. The humans sent one person in a tiny ship. The shuttle arrived on schedule. It was small and ugly, covered with scorch marks from atmospheric entry. It looked like it might fall apart at any moment. Kethver watched it dock with his ship and felt something strange. Not worry, certainly not fear, just curiosity. The human who stepped out of the shuttle was female. She was short by Volanthi standards, with brown skin and black hair cut very short. She wore a simple gray uniform with no decorations except a small patch on her shoulder. She carried only 2 things, a flat device that glowed with information, and a metal container that seemed to hold some kind of liquid. Her name was Commander Elena Vasquez. She walked through the corridors of the Arbiter like she owned them. The Volanthi soldiers towered over, their weapons ready, their eyes watching her every move. She did not seem to notice. She did not seem to care. When she reached the command center, Kethver was waiting. He had prepared a speech. It was the same speech his people had given to 100 species before. It explained the power of the Dominion. It described what would happen to Earth if they refused. It was designed to create fear. He gave the speech perfectly. When he finished, he waited for her reaction. He expected tears. He expected begging. He expected the desperate negotiations that always came when lesser species realized their situation. "Commander." Vasquez took a long drink from her metal container. Then she looked up at him with calm eyes. "Counteroffer," she said. "You leave. You tell your queen that Earth is not interested. And you never come back." For a moment, Kethver could not speak. In his entire career, no representative had ever responded this way. The silence stretched out for several seconds. Then he laughed. The sound was harsh and cold, like stones grinding together. "You do not understand," he said slowly, as if talking to a child. "We are not asking. We are informing. Your species will join the Dominion or your species will die. These are your only options." Vasquez set down her container. She pulled out her glowing device and pressed something on its surface. "Let me show you something," she said. "This is our history." Images appeared in the air above her device. Moving pictures of human events. Kethver watched with growing confusion, then growing unease. He saw humans killing other humans. Not in small numbers, but in millions. He saw weapons that burned entire cities to ash. He saw soldiers marching through mud and blood while poison gas filled the air. He saw bombs falling on civilian targets. He saw systematic murder on a scale that shocked even him. "We did this to ourselves," Vasquez said quietly. "To people who looked like us. To people who spoke our language. To our own families." She looked up at Kethver, and her eyes were cold and empty like the space between stars. "We have been practicing war since we learned to walk. We have spent our entire history finding new ways to kill each other." She turned off the device. "You think you can threaten us with destruction," she said. "But we have been threatening ourselves with destruction for thousands of years. We are very, very good at it." She stepped closer, and Kethver found himself taking a step back. "So here is my counteroffer again. Leave. Tell your queen what you have seen. And never, ever come back." She picked up her container, took another drink, and walked back to her shuttle without waiting for a response. Kethver stood alone in his command center for a long time. Then he ordered his ship to return home. He had a report to give to the Queen. Queen Sirith watched the recording 17 times. Each time she noticed something new. The way the human woman stood without fear. The steadiness in her voice. The look in her eyes when she described what her species had done to itself. The Queen had ruled for 11,000 years. She had seen species that were strong and species that were weak. She had seen species that fought bravely and species that surrendered without a single shot. But she had never seen anything like this. The humans were not afraid of death. They had been killing each other since before they had discovered fire. They had invented weapons specifically designed to cause maximum suffering. They had built devices that could destroy their entire planet. And they had kept those devices aimed at each other for decades. This was not normal behavior. This was madness. Her advisors gathered in the throne room to discuss what to do. Most of them wanted to send the full fleet immediately. The humans were primitive, they argued. Their ships were slow and their weapons were weak. One decisive strike would end any resistance before it could begin. "We cannot show weakness," said Admiral Lexara. She was old for a Volante, nearly 5,000 years, and she had commanded more successful invasions than anyone in the Dominion. "If we let one species defy us, others will follow. The Empire is built on the certainty that resistance is futile. We must prove that certainty." Others disagreed. They pointed to the recording. They noted the humans' confidence. They wondered what the humans might know that the Volanthi did not. "Perhaps we should send scouts first," suggested Counselor Millell. "Learn more about their capabilities. Study their history in greater detail." The Queen listened to all of them. She did not speak for a long time. Finally, she raised one hand and the room fell silent. "We will send a probe fleet," she said. 12 ships. Enough to test their defenses, but not so many that we risk significant losses. We will see how they fight. We will learn what they can do. And then we will decide. Her advisors bowed and left to carry out her orders. 12 warships of the Volanthi Dominion entered hyperspace and jumped toward the human solar system. Each ship carried a crew of 500 soldiers and officers. Each ship had weapons capable of destroying cities from orbit. Together, they represented more military power than most species had ever seen. They emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system, far from the human homeworld. Their sensors immediately detected human ships approaching. Small ships, slow ships, ships that looked like they had been built in a hurry. The human fleet was outnumbered, 6-1. Commander Vasquez appeared on the communication screens. She was on the bridge of her ship, surrounded by officers who looked calm and ready. She did not smile. "You were warned," she said. "You should not have come back." The battle began. Later, the survivors would struggle to explain what happened. The humans did not fight like any species the Volanthi had encountered before. They did not form defensive lines. They did not protect their flanks. They did not try to preserve their forces. They attacked. Human ships flew directly at Volanthi weapons, taking hits that should have destroyed them, and kept coming. They aimed for engines and life support systems. They targeted communication arrays and navigation computers. When their weapons ran out, they used their ships as missiles, crashing into enemy vessels and destroying both. One Volanthi captain reported that a human ship continued fighting for 11 minutes after its bridge had been destroyed. Another reported that the humans broadcast music during the battle. Strange, aggressive music with heavy drums and screaming voices. They were enjoying this, but the most disturbing reports came from the ship that had been captured. The humans had used some kind of boarding technique that the Volanthi had never seen before. They had cut through the hull and flooded the corridors with soldiers in sealed armor. The fighting inside was brutal. Volanthi warriors who had trained for centuries fell to humans who had only been soldiers for a few years. The humans were not stronger or faster, but they were relentless. They took injuries that should have killed them and kept fighting. They smiled while they fought. When the battle was over, 3 Volanthi ships escaped. 9 were destroyed. 1 was captured. The prisoners from the captured ship expected torture. They expected execution. They expected to be made into examples. Instead, the humans gave them medical care. They treated their wounds and fed them good food. They provided comfortable rooms and entertainment. They asked questions about Volanthi culture and seemed genuinely interested in the answers. And then they explained what would happen next. A human officer sat down with the prisoners and spoke to them calmly. He told them about human history. He told them about the weapons humans had developed to use against each other. He told them about the plans that human military commanders had created for every possible enemy. "We have been preparing for war since we were children," he said. "Every human child learns about war. We study it. We practice it. We dream about it." He leaned forward. "We have plans for enemies we have never met. We have weapons we have never used. We have strategies that would make your commanders weep." He stood up and walked to the door. "We are going to let you go," he said. "We are going to send you back to your queen, and you are going to tell her what you saw here today. You are going to tell her what we are capable of. And you are going to tell her that if she sends anyone else to our system, we will not be so gentle." He opened the door. "We gave you a warning. You did not listen. This is your second warning. There will not be a third. The prisoners returned to the Dominion. Most of them had to be sedated during the journey. 2 of them never recovered from what they had experienced. They spent the rest of their lives in medical facilities, screaming about humans in their sleep. Queen Sirith received their reports in silence. She watched the recordings from their memories. She saw the battle through their eyes. She felt their terror as if it were her own. For the first time in 3,000 years, she felt something cold and heavy in her chest. It took her a long time to recognize what it was. Fear. She had ruled for 11,000 years by never showing weakness. She had conquered 400 worlds by being more ruthless than any enemy. She had destroyed species that dared to resist her. But she had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy that enjoyed war. An enemy that did not fear death. An enemy that had been practicing violence against itself since before her empire was born. She sat alone in her throne room and stared at the stars. She had a decision to make. 1 year passed. The Queen did nothing. Her spies watched Earth from hidden stations at the edge of the human solar system. They recorded everything. They sent reports every day. And what they reported confused the Queen more than anything else. The humans were not preparing for war. After defeating a fleet from the most powerful empire in the galaxy, they had simply gone back to their normal lives. They argued about politics. They made art and music. They explored nearby star systems with small ships and curious crews. They sent friendly messages to every species they encountered. Even species that belonged to the Volanthi Dominion. They acted like the battle had never happened. Queen Sirith spent many nights studying the reports. She looked for hidden meanings. She searched for secret preparations. She tried to understand what the humans were planning. She found nothing. Perhaps they are stupid, suggested Admiral Vexara. Perhaps they do not understand the danger they are in. They understood well enough to destroy 9 of our ships, the Queen replied. They are not stupid. Perhaps they are insane, suggested Counselor Mythil. Their history shows a species that harms itself constantly. Perhaps they simply cannot think about the future. They built weapons that could destroy their own planet and chose not to use them, the Queen replied. They can think about the future. She did not know what to think. In 11,000 years, she had learned to predict how species would behave. Fear made them defensive. Anger made them aggressive. Pride made them foolish. She could use these emotions to control them, to manipulate them, to destroy them. But the humans did not seem to feel any of these things. They were not afraid of the Dominion. They were not angry about the attack. They were not proud of their victory. They just continued living their lives as if nothing had happened. It was deeply unsettling. Her advisors continued to press for action. The Dominion was built on strength. Every species in their territory knew that defiance meant death. If the humans were allowed to resist without consequences, other species might start to believe that resistance was possible. We must crush them, said Admiral Vexara. Not just defeat them. We must destroy their planet, scatter their survivors, erase their history. They must become a warning to everyone else. The Queen agreed. She began assembling the subjugation fleet. Ships arrived from every corner of the Dominion. Warships and troop carriers and supply vessels. Weapons platforms and siege engines and planetary bombardment systems. It was the largest military force assembled in 4,000 years, since the Kreth uprising had required the destruction of an entire species. The fleet gathered at a staging area, far from human sensors. 10,000 ships. 50 million soldiers. Enough firepower to crack a planet in half. Queen Sirith watched the fleet grow and felt something she had not felt in centuries. Satisfaction. The humans had surprised her once. They would not surprise her again. Then the human ambassador arrived. He came alone, like Vasquez had. a small ship with no weapons and no escort. He requested permission to speak with the Queen. He said he brought no threats and no demands. He only wanted to talk. The Queen's advisors told her to refuse. They said it was a trap. They said the humans could not be trusted. They said she should destroy his ship and begin the invasion immediately. She agreed with all of them. But something made her hesitate. The human's name was James. He was old for his species, with white hair and wrinkled skin and kind eyes. He walked slowly because his body was failing, but his mind was clear and sharp. He entered her throne room without guards, without weapons, without any sign of fear. He bowed respectfully. Then he smiled. "Thank you for seeing me, Your Majesty," he said. His voice was warm and gentle. "I know you have many reasons not to trust me. I am grateful for this opportunity." "You should be grateful that I have not killed you yet," the Queen replied. "Your species attacked my ships. Your species killed my soldiers. Your species has defied the Dominion." "Yes," James agreed. He did not seem bothered by her anger. "And your ships entered our space without permission. Your soldiers planned to conquer our world. Your Dominion threatened to destroy everything we have built." He shrugged. "We did what we had to do. And now I will do what I have to do," the Queen said. "My fleet will burn your planet to ash. Your species will be erased from history. Your name will be forgotten." James nodded slowly. He did not argue. He did not beg. He simply reached into his coat and pulled out a small bag. "May I show you something?" he asked. The Queen gestured for him to continue. James opened the bag and spread its contents on the floor. Seeds, small packages of food, a bottle of liquid, a device that played music. Small objects that seemed to have no purpose except beauty. "These are gifts," he said. "From Earth, this is coffee. Humans drink it every morning. It helps us wake up. This is music. This particular song is about love and loss and hope. These are flowers. They serve no practical purpose. They just make us happy." He looked up at her. "We are not monsters," he said quietly. "We are capable of terrible things. You have seen our history. You know what we can do. But we are also capable of this." He gestured at the gifts. "Beauty, art, kindness, love. What is your point?" the Queen demanded. "My point is that we do not want to fight you," James said. "We never did. We want to learn from you. We want to share what we know. We want to build something together." He stood up slowly, his old bones creaking. "We have been watching your empire for a year now. We have seen how you treat the species under your control. We have seen the fear and the suffering and the despair. And we have asked ourselves a question." He met her eyes. "Is this the only way? Does power have to mean cruelty? Does strength have to mean destruction?" "It is the way things have always been," the Queen said. "Maybe," James agreed. "But humans have a saying. The way things have always been is not the way things have to be." He walked toward the door. "I will leave now," he said. "You will make your decision. You will send your fleet or you will not. But I want you to remember something, Your Majesty." He turned back to face her. "We do not want to destroy you. We want to change you. And that is much harder." He left. The Queen sat alone in her throne room for a long time. The gifts remained on the floor in front of her. The coffee, the music, the flowers. She did not touch them. 1 week later, the subjugation fleet departed for Earth. Queen Sirith stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched her fleet emerge from hyperspace. 10,000 ships spread out against the darkness of space like a cloud of angry metal. In all her years of rule, she had never seen anything so beautiful or so terrible. She had decided to command this battle herself. Her advisors had argued against it. They said it was too dangerous. They said she was too important to risk, but she needed to see this with her own eyes. She needed to watch the humans burn. The fleet moved toward Earth in perfect formation. Sensors scanned the system, searching for defenses, searching for traps, searching for any sign of the human military. They found almost nothing. A small group of human ships gathered between the fleet and Earth, perhaps 200 vessels. Most of them were small and old and poorly armed. They looked like civilian ships that had been converted for war. They were outnumbered 50 to 1. "Is this all they have?" asked Admiral Vexara. She sounded disappointed. "This is not even a challenge." "Perhaps they are hiding their main force," suggested the Queen. "Perhaps this is a trap." "Our sensors show no other ships in the system," the Admiral replied. "This appears to be their entire fleet." Queen Sirith stared at the human ships on her view screen. They were not running. They were not hiding. They were simply waiting. She could see them clearly now, small shapes against the distant blue of their homeworld. A communication signal came from the human fleet. The Queen accepted it. Commander Vasquez appeared on the screen. She looked older than before. There was gray in her hair and lines on her face. But her eyes were the same, cold and hard and completely unafraid. "Your Majesty," Vasquez said, "you were warned. You should not have come." "Your warnings mean nothing," the Queen replied. "Your fleet is nothing. In 1 hour, your planet will be ash and your species will be a memory." Vasquez nodded slowly. "You are probably right," she said. "Your fleet is bigger than ours. Your weapons are stronger than ours. If we fight you directly, we will lose." "Then surrender," the Queen said. "Accept your place in the Dominion. Save what remains of your people." "No. You would rather die than submit?" "Yes," Vasquez said simply. "We would." The Queen felt a flash of anger. "Then you are fools. You are throwing away your lives for nothing. Your resistance cannot succeed." "Maybe not," Vasquez agreed. "But we are going to resist anyway, because some things are worth dying for." She leaned forward. "My ancestors fought against impossible odds. They fought against enemies who were bigger and stronger and better armed. They lost many battles, but they never stopped fighting. And eventually, they won." She smiled. It was not a happy smile. "We are very good at fighting wars we cannot win." The human fleet began to move, not toward the edges of the system, not toward safety, toward the Volanti fleet, toward certain death. Queen Sirith watched them come. She felt confusion. Hola. She felt frustration. She felt something that might have been respect. Then the second fleet appeared. Sensors screamed warnings across every ship in the Volanti Armada. Ships were emerging from the darkness between the outer planets. Not a few ships. Thousands of ships. Ships that had been hidden somehow, invisible to every scanner and probe the Dominion possessed. They were already firing. The battle exploded across the solar system like a violent storm. The Volanti warships that had expected an easy victory found themselves surrounded and outnumbered. The human ships used tactics that made no sense. They attacked from impossible angles. They coordinated in ways that seemed impossible. They used weapons that the Dominion had never seen before. Queen Sirith shouted orders from her bridge. She tried to organize her fleet. She tried to establish defensive lines. But everything was chaos. Her communications were jammed. Her sensors were blinded. Her captains were dying. She watched one of her largest warships crack in half from internal explosions. She watched another disappear in a flash of white light. She watched her carefully planned formation dissolve into scattered groups of ships, fighting desperately to survive. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, The Volanthe subjugation fleet no longer existed. Queen Sirith's flagship drifted alone through a field of wreckage. Her engines were damaged. Her weapons were destroyed. Her crew was dead. She sat on her bridge surrounded by silence and darkness and tried to understand what had happened. The humans had hidden their true fleet. They had built ships in secret, in the dark places between planets where no one would think to look. They had developed new weapons and new tactics and new technologies. And they had waited. They had known the Dominion would come. They had prepared for years. Everything the Queen had seen before, the small fleet, the apparent weakness, the strange confidence, it had all been a performance. A deception designed to make her overconfident, and she had fallen for it. A human shuttle docked with her ship. She heard footsteps in the corridors. She did not try to run. There was nowhere to go. The door to her bridge opened. James walked in. The old ambassador with the kind eyes and gentle voice. Behind him came Commander Vasquez and a squad of human soldiers in battle armor. Their faces were tired and grim. Some of them were wounded. All of them were alive. James looked around the ruined bridge. He looked at the dead officers. He looked at the broken screens and shattered consoles. Then he looked at the Queen. "I am sorry," he said. His voice was heavy with grief. "I truly am. I wish this could have ended differently." "You destroyed my fleet," the Queen said. Her voice was hollow. "You killed millions of my people." "Yes," James said. "We did. And I will carry that weight for the rest of my life." He walked closer. "But you gave us no choice. You came to destroy us. We defended ourselves. So now you will kill me," the Queen said. "You will take my empire. You will become what we were." James shook his head. He walked to her throne and sat down beside her, slowly, carefully, like an old man settling into a chair at the end of a long day. "No," he said. "We will not." The Queen turned to look at him. She did not understand. "We did not fight this war to conquer you," James said. "We fought this war to survive. And now that we have survived, we need to decide what comes next." He reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. The same kind of device that Vasquez had used years ago. "This is a proposal," he said. "Not a surrender demand. Not a treaty of conquest. A proposal for something new." He placed the device in her hands. "Read it," he said. "Think about it. And then let us talk." The Queen held the device. Her hands were trembling. She had never trembled before. "Why?" she asked. "You have won. You could do anything you want. Why offer us peace?" James smiled. It was the same kind smile he had worn when he first visited her throne room. The same gentle expression that had confused her so much. "Because we are tired of war," he said. "Because we want something better for our children. Because we believe that even enemies can become friends if they are willing to try." He stood up. "We will be waiting," he said. "Take as long as you need." He walked out of the bridge. Vasquez followed him. The soldiers followed her. Queen Sirith sat alone in the wreckage of her flagship, holding a device that contained humanity's offer for the future. Around her, the debris of her great fleet drifted silently through space. She began to read. Queen Sirith read the proposal 7 times. Each time, she found something new to confuse her. Each time, she searched for hidden traps and secret conditions. Each time, she found nothing but what the word said. The humans were not asking for surrender. They were not demanding tribute or territory or slaves. They were offering something she had never seen in 11,000 years of rule. They were offering partnership. The proposal described a new kind of alliance. Not conquest. Not domination. 2 species working together as equals. Sharing knowledge and technology. Trading resources and ideas. building something that neither could build alone, thought it was impossible. It went against everything she knew about power and empire and survival. The strong ruled the weak. That was how the universe worked. That was how it had always worked, but the humans had proven they were not weak. They had destroyed the greatest fleet the Dominion had ever assembled. They had weapons and tactics and technologies that made Volante's science look primitive. If they wanted to conquer her empire, they could. Instead, they were offering friendship. A human shuttle returned to her damaged flagship. This time, only James came aboard. No soldiers. No guards. Just the old man with kind eyes, walking slowly through the ruined corridors. He found her still sitting on her bridge, surrounded by darkness and debris. She had not moved in hours. She had not eaten. She had simply sat and thought and tried to understand. "You have read the proposal," James said. It was not a question. "I have," the Queen replied. "I do not understand it." James settled into a seat across from her. His movements were slow and painful. The battle had tired him more than he wanted to admit. "What do you not understand?" he asked. "Everything." The Queen gestured at the destruction around them. "You won. You have absolute power over us. You could take anything you want. Our worlds, our resources, our people." She looked at him. "Why would you choose to share power instead of holding it?" James was quiet for a long moment. He seemed to be thinking carefully about his answer. "Do you know what Earth looked like 200 years ago?" he asked. "Before we had space travel?" The Queen shook her head. "We were divided into hundreds of nations," James said. "We spent most of our time fighting each other. Wars over land. Wars over religion. Wars over ideas. We invented weapons that could destroy our entire planet, and we pointed them at each other for decades." "I know this," the Queen said. "Your Commander Vasquez showed us your history. Your capacity for violence is impressive." "Yes," James agreed. "We are very good at violence. But that is not the most important thing about us." He leaned forward. "Do you know what happened after we almost destroyed ourselves? After we came to the edge of extinction?" The Queen waited. "We changed," James said. "Not all at once. Not completely. But slowly, over generations, we began to learn. We learned that cooperation was better than conquest. We learned that sharing was more profitable than stealing. We learned that diversity made us stronger, not weaker." He smiled sadly. "We still fought. We still argued. We still made mistakes. But we also built things together. We cured diseases. We fed the hungry. We explored the stars. Not because we were forced to, but because we chose to." "And you think you can do the same with us?" the Queen asked. "You think you can change an empire that has ruled through fear for 11,000 years?" "I do not know," James admitted. "It might be impossible. Your people might reject the idea. Our people might demand revenge. Everything might fall apart in a year or a decade or a century." He reached out and touched her hand. His skin was warm against her cold scales. "But I think it is worth trying," he said. "I think the alternative is worse. More war, more death, more empires rising and falling and destroying each other forever." He met her eyes. "I am old. I do not have many years left. But I would like to spend those years building something, not burning something." The Queen looked at his hand on hers. She remembered the gifts he had brought to her throne room. The coffee and the music and the flowers. Things that served no practical purpose. Things that just made humans happy. "Your people will never accept this," she said. "We have attacked them. We have killed them. They will want revenge." "Some of them will," James agreed. "But most of them just want to live in peace. They want their children to grow up without fear. They want to explore the universe and learn its secrets and meet new friends. He squeezed her hand gently. They are tired of being afraid. My people are not tired, the Queen said. They do not know how to be anything else. They have lived under my rule for thousands of years. They have learned that strength is the only thing that matters. Then teach them something new, James said. You are their queen. You have ruled for 11,000 years. If anyone can change them, you can. The Queen was silent for a long time. She thought about her empire. She thought about her people. She thought about all the species she had conquered and destroyed. She thought about the fear that had kept her in power for so many centuries. And she thought about what it would mean to let that fear go. If I agree to this, she said slowly, everything will change. Everything I have built. Everything I have believed. It will all become meaningless. No, James said. It will become the foundation for something better. Your history does not disappear. It becomes the story of how you transformed. From conquerors to partners. From enemies to friends. He stood up, still holding her hand. I cannot promise it will be easy, he said. I cannot promise it will succeed. I can only promise that we will try. Together. The Queen looked at him. This strange, soft creature from a primitive world. This old man who had walked into her throne room without fear and offered her something she had never imagined possible. She had dreaded what humans would do when they took action. She had imagined fire and death and the end of everything she knew. She had prepared for destruction. She had not prepared for this. She had not prepared for hope. Very well, she said. Her voice was quiet but steady. I will try. James smiled. It was the brightest smile she had ever seen. 5 years later, Queen Sirith stood on the surface of Earth for the first time. The sky was blue and the air was sweet, and the humans who walked past her smiled instead of running away. She was attending the opening ceremony of the first Joint Academy, a place where Volanti and humans would study together, learn together, grow together. Commander Vasquez stood beside her, the woman who had once threatened to destroy the Dominion, the woman who had fought and killed and bled for her species. She was wearing a formal uniform, but she was also smiling. You look uncomfortable, Vasquez said. I am uncomfortable, the Queen admitted. This is all very strange. It gets easier, Vasquez said. Trust me. I used to think all aliens were monsters. Now I have Volanti friends. The Queen looked at her. We were enemies. We nearly destroyed each other. How do you forgive that? Vasquez was quiet for a moment. Then she shrugged. I do not forgive it, she said. I remember it. I carry it with me every day. But I also remember what James told me once. He said that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. She turned to face the Queen. I choose to let go, she said. Not because you deserve it. Because I deserve peace. The ceremony began. Young Volanti and young humans walked together toward the academy doors. Some of them were nervous. Some of them were excited. All of them were stepping into a future that no one had ever imagined possible. Queen Sirith watched them go. She felt something strange in her chest. Something warm and light and unfamiliar. She realized it was hope. She had ruled through fear for 11,000 years. She had built an empire on destruction and domination. She had believed that power was the only thing that mattered. She had been wrong. The humans had taken action. And the outcome she had dreaded most had come to pass. Not destruction. Not death. Not the end of everything she knew. Change and change. She was beginning to understand. Was not something to fear. It was something to embrace.